Every April, NFL teams gather to bet on their futures in search of a new star. Sometimes these players work out on their team and go on to have successful and lengthy careers. Other draftees, unfortunately, never live up to the hype surrounding their name. Much like those players, no one is a greater example than 2007's number one overall pick, Jamarcus Russell. He and Russell Wilson may share a name, but that's about all they share. But there was a time, however, where Jamarcus was believed to be the Raiders' future franchise quarterback. Peyton Manning famously spoke on Jamarcus' ability to throw the football 60 yards downfield, all on one knee, a feat that many quarterbacks even nowadays couldn't even do. I'd be surprised if Patrick Mahomes could do that. Recent comments question how Jamarcus had not torched the NFL during his time with his incredible and impeccable arm talent. Jamarcus started his collegiate career as a redshirt freshman after becoming a local legend at Lily B. William High School, throwing for over 10,000 yards in his career, setting a state record. And I mean, this kid was a beast. He threw over 20 touchdowns a season, 84 career touchdown passes throughout his entire 4-year career. He also had 400 rushing yards his senior season and earned a 5-star ranking. After his redshirted freshman year at LSU, he went on to start his sophomore season with a completion percentage of 60.5%, 2,443 passing yards, 15 touchdowns, only 9 interceptions on 136 passer rating. He played the first 12 games and was started obviously, uh, going 10-2 with him as a starter and then falling into injury, which became a theme in his NFL career. He later had a breakout junior year that was much better than his sophomore year, passing for 1,000 more than his previous year at a 3,129 passing yards, 28 touchdowns, and only 8 interceptions on 67.8 completion rating and 167 passing efficiency rating, playing in 13 games. This stellar performance in his junior year significantly contributed to his high NFL draft prospect. He was named first team All SEC and was finalist for the Davey O'Brien Award. Scouts were just enamored with his 260-pound, 6'6" frame and his absolute cannon of an arm. He also just had a knack for completing almost impossible passes. He became a favorite for that year's number one pick. Other players such as Calvin Johnson and Adrian Pearson were ranked to be drafted lower than this guy, so people thought he was genuinely insane. Adrian Peterson went on to have a much better career than him and a much lengthier. Calvin Johnson would also have some injury issues, but had a much better and much more productive career than Jamarcus Russell did. The Raiders had that number one pick and were ready to select their future franchise quarterback. However, when they went on to draft him at number one overall, the issues already started to arise. Jamarcus's issue started as early as him signing his rookie contract. See, the guy believed he was much more worth than what he actually became. When it came to sign his contract, he held out talks with the team spanning out 48 days, making him miss the training camp, preseason, even the first game of the NFL season. Despite the mishap and the hiccups, they ended up agreeing to a 6-year deal worth up to $68 million with a $31 million guaranteed. This was the longest holdout by a number one overall pick since Bo Jackson in 1986. Unlike Bo Jackson, however, Russell's career was disappointing and short-lived. As the Raiders were looking to have another losing season, they let him start at week 13 and he started for the remainder of the season. He showed some flashes, but at the end of the day, many noticed he was not well adjusted to the speed and the complexity of the league. But because he was a rookie, the Raiders still had faith in him. He later started the entirety of the '08 season, leading the Raiders to a 5-11 record, missing the playoffs once again. Rumors sparked of his attitude and off-the-field issues as well. A story broke of him faking watching film as coaches sent him blank tapes and he responded to them stating they looked good, but the tapes were blank. That really rubbed the Raiders coaches the wrong way. It only got worse for this guy as he went on to have the worst season a starting quarterback has ever had. All right, that's a bit dramatic. One of the worst seasons that a quarterback has ever had. He went on to have 3 touchdowns, 11 interceptions with a 48.8 completion percentage and a 50 passer rating. He played so bad that he was benched by week 10 and later released that year at May 6, 2010, to never play an NFL snap again. He had brief workouts with other teams, including the Bears, the Redskins, but they really led nowhere. His bad decision making did not end on the field, however, as in 2010 he was arrested for possession of codeine syrup, but charges were dropped eventually. Even though these charges were dropped, it still took a hit to his reputation at that point that had already been torn and ruined by that point. He had also reportedly blown through the $39 million that he had made during his NFL days. He also made various comeback attempts, even uploading a video series titled The Comeback in 2013. Some teams showed interest, but contracts were never signed for him. Desperately in 2016, he famously sent letters to all 32 NFL teams asking to play for free, but nothing came out of it. In more recent years, Jamarcus does not stay too much in the spotlight. He's had a good few run-ins with Stephen A. He also had a section on the Players Tribune where it goes into more depth on his childhood and his addictive issues. Jamarcus Russell was a perfect quarterback on paper, but is a cautionary tale to all teams attempting to find their future franchise quarterback on draft night. If you are watching this right now, there is a 100% chance that you are not subscribed. If you like my style of content and you love football, then please subscribe to the Twin Beams channel. It would be greatly appreciated. We only got one subscriber, and I will be celebrating each time we get, I don't know, a milestone. So I say maybe 10 subscribers. And if you like the video, make sure you guys comment and like as well to drive up the algorithm. Anyways, back to the video. A team, however, who did not listen to this cautionary tale was the team of the New York Jets, as they went on to draft Zach Wilson at number 2 overall in the 2021 draft. Much like Jamarcus Russell, Zach Wilson was a local legend. At Corner Canyon High School in Draper, Utah, Wilson was a star quarterback, earning the 5A MVP title and leading his team to the regional championship. His senior year, he passed for 2,986 yards and passed for 24 touchdowns, while also rushing for 752 yards and 8 touchdowns. This was a historic season for any quarterback coming out of Utah. With this level of play, national recognition began to swarm him. He was considered a top quarterback prospect, receiving offers from numerous major college programs. Zach Wilson became the youngest starting quarterback during the 2018 season at BYU. He showed flashes of playmaking and also his cannon of an arm being a factor in why NFL teams were later draft him at number 2. However, his freshman year was a little lukewarm as he only completed 120 passes out of 182 for 1,578 yards with 12 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. He would later be named MVP of the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, completing all 18 of his passes and 317 yards for 4 touchdowns in a dominant win against Western Michigan. While his overall stats for the season weren't overwhelming, his performance in the bowl game and his early stats provided a glimpse of his potential and earned him hype going into the offseason, despite needing shoulder surgery afterward. And that shoulder and injuries will come to play sooner than later. After this surgery, he would go on to have a lackluster sophomore season, but then later had a breakout junior year in 2020 with his breakout season where he led BYU to a 10-1 record and finished 8th in Heisman Trophy voting. He completed 73.5% of his passes for 3,692 yards, 33 touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions compared to his 33 touchdowns. He also showed dual threat ability as he rushed for 255 yards and 10 touchdowns. He would then go on to be drafted number 2 overall in the 2021 NFL draft by the New York Jets and signed to a 4-year contract. He would then go on to struggle, unfortunately, in the NFL, as he was not able to find the success that he did find in the collegiate level. He was riddled with inconsistent performances and also injuries that held him back from becoming who he could truly have become. In his time with the Jets, he was inconsistent. He started 33 games and had a 12-21 record, completing 50% of his passes for 23 touchdowns compared to his 25 interceptions over 3 seasons. He was benched in his last season with them and later demoted in 2023 as he dealt with more injuries, including a very severe knee injury. He was later traded to the Denver Broncos in 2024 and agreed to a 1-year deal with the Miami Dolphins in March of 2025. Due to the fact that Tua is also injury prone, he may be able to have another chance at his NFL career, but that chance might as well be slim as he's backed up to him and Tua will be the starter for the remainder of the 2025-2026 season, and it doesn't look like there's really a battle there. So after the 3-year stint that the Jets had with Zach Wilson, it looks like he turned out to be just another bust that wasn't able to blossom into the quarterback he could have become. He also got his spot took by A-Rod. Like, that's just embarrassing, dog. He's like 40. No team could relate more than the team selected number 3 in the 2021 draft, like the 49ers. They went on to select Trey Lance at number 3 that year. And much like Zach Wilson, Trey Lance also became a backup. But even worse, he became a backup to a backup. Trey Lance began his football career as a standout dual sport athlete in football and basketball. He was a 3-year starting quarterback, earning all district honors each year. He finished his high school career with 3,026 passing yards and a school record of 33 passing touchdowns, along with his 1,177 rushing yards and 18 touchdowns. He would later commit to the North Dakota State Bison as he redshirted his first year, only appearing in 2 games and getting 2 rushing touchdowns to go along those 2 games. Later in 2019, he led the North Dakota State to an undefeated season and an FCS championship as the starting quarterback. He won the Walter Payton Award and the Jerry Rice Award and set an NCAA record for most passing attempts in a season, 287, without an interception. So far, he was looking like an incredible prospect with a great arm and also a precise arm, as well as a dual threat option. There was nothing that Trey Lance lacked. His stats in 2019 consisted of 2,786 passing yards, 28 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 1,100 rushing yards, and 14 rushing touchdowns. Nobody could stop this guy. His 2020 season, he opted out due to COVID-19 pandemic restrictions. He would later be selected in the 2021 draft, selected 3rd overall by the San Francisco 49ers. However, when Trey Lance reached the league, he was inconsistent and he struggled with accuracy and decision making, according to scouts. This was to be expected of a rookie, though, but something that could not be prevented was the injuries that he withheld during his first seasons. He would go on to have an injury in his finger in his freshman year or his rookie year, and then had a season-ending ankle injury in 2022. This coincided with Brock Purdy's incredible performances as in 2022, Mr. Irrelevant that was drafted by 49ers went out to have a breakout season that completely overshined Trey Lance. A guy that was picked dead last went ahead and had a better career than the guy that the 49ers had drafted the previous year at 3rd overall. Now that's gotta sting. As Kyle Shanahan and the rest of the 49ers were in a win now position and were making the playoffs left and right, they just didn't have time for Trey Lance to develop. So they went ahead and shipped him out to the Dallas Cowboys, and he became a backup of a backup. He had opportunities to play, but each time he had an opportunity, he went ahead and messed it up. He had a famous game where he went ahead and threw 5 interceptions, I believe. He is now on the Cowboys roster warming up the bench for Joe Milton and Dak Prescott, and it doesn't look like he'll make any sort of run for a starting QB anytime soon.